Laura here from Laura Johnson Physical Therapy and Wellness, soon to be called Yellow Brick Physical Therapy here in Boulder, Colorado. And this is a very exciting time because it is Memorial Weekend this weekend, and when it's Memorial Day, it is also the Bolder Boulder 10K race, which is a huge deal here in Boulder. For those of you who aren't in Boulder, you may not know, or if you're not a runner, you may not know. But if you're a runner, if you're in Colorado, you certainly know that this is like the Boston Marathon of 10Ks, at least for me. So I lived in Boston before I moved back to Colorado, and it was kind of interesting to see that, wow, it has a similar energy to the Boston Marathon, but more people can do it because you just need to be able to run a 10K instead of a marathon, and you can walk it, and you can do it all kinds of different ways. So that's why this race can be so important for so many people. I've been doing this race, Bolder Boulder, on and off for a long time. I grew up in Greeley, Colorado, so I didn't start racing it till a little later because I played soccer growing up and was fairly serious about it, and we had soccer tournaments over Memorial Weekend until my sister started doing this. And then I was in college, and actually the race organizer of Bolder Boulder went to my same small college in Nebraska, Hastings College, and so there's that fun connection too. But we had a section at Hastings College, so especially when I was in college, I'd come back and do this race, or any times when I was home for Memorial Weekend. So it's really fun. It's a really fun race, and it's so disappointing to consider missing it, especially if you're dealing with any kind of pain or injury. And sometimes it's such a difficult thing to figure out whether it's safe to do it or not to do it, or you're kind of on that cusp of, is this going to set me back farther? Is this going to ruin your whole summer? Like, this is the start of summer, so if you run it and it's going to set you back, that can be really, a real big bummer. Because summer in Boulder, in Colorado, you want to be in the sun, you want to be on those trails. So here are some pointers that I have for how to complete the Bolder Boulder 10K, even if you have an injury going on, some pain going on, whether it's been going on a little while or it's just started to crop up in the last few days or the last few weeks, and you're still pretty gung-ho on doing the race and at least completing it, if not more than that. So I know for me, I've been through some different time points where I've been at a higher level and wanted to race it hard, or go for PR, or go for times, and probably set myself up for a bigger injury. I've also done it in a way where I got to be in the experience of it, and that was actually really enjoyable and surprising. So here are my tips on how to complete the Bolder Boulder 10K, even if you have an injury or pain. And that could be anything. It could be maybe you've got knee pain or patellofemoral syndrome, some shin pain going on, Achilles tendinopathy, plantar fasciitis, even neck pain. I had a patient a couple years ago who had neck pain from walking, and her family did the Bolder Boulder every single year. Her father, who was aging, had done every single one, and so it was a big deal for lots of different reasons. One other point I have, especially because I was thinking about Boston earlier. What was it? I'm going to forget. So the race experience itself is I was just thinking about baseball. So I was never a baseball fan per se, because I never played baseball or softball growing up. I played basketball and soccer and got into running seriously. And but I was thinking how when I lived in Boston, I lived right next to Fenway Park, which was really cool. And if people would want to watch Red Sox games on TV, I'd be kind of like, yeah, no, this is doesn't really do it for me. But going to a game was a whole different experience, because it's not just about the baseball. And I can certainly appreciate any kind of sporting events. I really dig athletic skills and all of those things. But going to a game wasn't just about the baseball, it was about the sound of the ball cracking on the bat. It was about the people around. It was about the vendors running up and down the stairs and the Red Sox and Yankees fans having the banter and all those other things. So a race experience, especially one like Bolder Boulder, where there's so much fun and activity and people and costumes and all these things along the way, it's understandable why you'd want to be able to participate in it and experience it, even if you've got something going on that makes you think it may not be the smartest thing for your body. So, okay, so if you've got any kind of pain, hips, it could be hips, back, neck, all these things that you're wondering, how do I make it through this? Here are my suggestions for what to do. So first, reframe your mind to enjoy the experience. So I was just talking about the experience of the race. So go into it just wanting to enjoy it and come at it with a sense of curiosity rather than a focused gung-ho. I mean, you may or may not have that kind of mindset with running races, but it's easy to kind of get focused and narrow and need to run, but come at it with an openness and curiosity around what you might find out. Enjoying the people you're around and the cheering and how you help each other. I know I've experienced that myself. You wind up kind of locking in with someone and it's this whole connection that you didn't expect. Or maybe it's something like what you feel in your own body is surprising and you learn something more about that. You learn what you can and can't do. So rather than judging any of that, see if you can stay open and have a mindset of curiosity and a mindset going into it on Monday that you're going to enjoy that whole experience, the ups and downs, the hills, the uphills, the downhills, all of it, and see how try that on, see how that feels for you. Also, lower your expectations. So if you have expectations or you have going in and now this pain is cropped up, hey Cody, great to see you. This pain is cropped up. Go and, if you've had a time goal or a pace goal or any of those things, just, put those aside. I mean, if you've got a pain or injury coming on or it's been going on, the worst thing you can do is push, have a goal such that it would push you to do more and potentially injure yourself more. And again, think more long-term, not short-term race, but long-term, your whole summer, your whole ability to be healthy and active and doing the things you love beyond Monday's race. So lower your expectations of what you, as far as time at the end of the race, the PR or a certain pace that you want to run. Think more about that first point of the experience of it all and come at it with that mindset. So that's number 2, lower your expectations. Number 3 is slow down, literally just plan to go slower than you thought. Maybe it's about 10 to 20 seconds per mile slower than you were originally thinking, even if you were being conservative. So just get yourself in that mindset of slowing down and taking it a little bit easier. It doesn't mean it has to be easier the whole time, but just have that frame of mind so you're not pushing yourself into something that may make it worse. Slowing down also helps us pay closer attention to everything that's going on, the whole experience. So if you're in that mindset of enjoying being in the whole experience of the race, of the Monday, of the holiday, then, slowing down, take it all in, everything that's going on externally outside of you, and also everything that's going on internally inside of you. And that brings me to the 4th point. Point number 4 is pay attention to your own body. It's so easy to get caught up in everything that's going on around at any race, particularly this one where there's so much fun, and there's slip and slides and there's food and, take part in all that stuff. That's really fun, but also pay attention to your own body, especially the area that you've had some discomfort in. When you notice that and go off of that and pay attention to that, you can see if you, and especially bringing that curiosity into it, see you can adjust your form or your posture or adjust things in real time that might actually help it. So you can discover if there's something you can change even in a very mild way that will ease it or make it better, or maybe not, and maybe you find you need to do something a little different even. There are great techniques that I've practiced that can help you tune more into your own body, and that can mean It's a little bit like meditation where you want to bring yourself back and bring yourself back. You're probably going to get distracted, and that's fine. There are all these things going on, but every chance you notice or can, bring yourself back to your breathing. Bring yourself back to your breath and just notice what your breathing's like. Maybe you have a rhythmic breathing, maybe an inhale every 4 and an exhale every 4, or I like to do off step breathing, so an inhale every 4 steps and exhale every 3 steps, for example, or that could be different depending on how fast you're going and how much effort is going on. So breathing, paying attention to your posture, and lifting your chest upright. That brings your spine into a better position, and it's more natural curvature, and also gives your hips and back and legs more range of motion to move. Now, if that hurts anything, it tells me that there's some more stiffness that's keeping you from having the range of motion you need for running and even walking. And you may need a little bit more assistance with that. But if you can, focus on raising your chest lifted. The more we slouch, the more we pinch nerves in this area, the more we shorten our range of motion, and the less likely you're going to have an efficient stride. And all those things can really lead to all the injuries that we typically have with running, whether it's Achilles or knee or ankle or foot problems, or even hip or back problems. So pay attention to your breathing. Watch your posture, and every chance you get, lift that chest up. And that's a really easy and simple cue to bring yourself into a better posture and position for running. Another great thing I like to do is, well, I kind of said this, counting the steps, your breath with your steps. So you can use counting to bring yourself more in awareness of what you have going on. And these are things you can kind of set yourself up for before the race too. So going through some breathing exercises can be really helpful. I have some other videos and things I can share with that if you'd like, or around those kinds of techniques if you like. The other thing, if you start to feel, and you may have expected me to share exercises or stretches to do so that you're ready and prepared, but it's really more about the mentality, because in the short term with a race like this where you've been probably planning for it, training for it, quick fixes really won't make a lot of difference most likely, and you might need some more investigation with that. But one suggestion or recommendation I would give is because most running related injuries stem from the repetition of running, and backtracking just a little bit, most of the time we have stiffness going on already in our bodies, not so much weakness, but stiffness. Stiffness causes weakness and creates weakness, and then neurological dysfunction creates weakness too. So sometimes we think about core strengthening and stability, and the problem may be more related to the repetition and the stiffness or weakness from those aspects that come into play. So because running and walking are so repetitive with your hips, we're moving forward all the time. If we're already stiff and tight there, then that'll aggravate those things. So if you're starting to feel pain and symptoms while you're out there running or walking, then be willing to stop. Be willing to stop and let these front stabilizers lengthen and relax, and that's the best thing that can keep you going. I've had patients do this to be able to get back to their even walking, even running, or other activities, and just being willing to stop and back off. Maybe if you're running, you back off to walk and get things to open up more, and if it's still hurting, then you back off and stop periodically, because just think you're still out there, you're still getting to do it, you're still going to complete it, but with a lot less repercussion afterwards. It can be hard mentally to be willing to stop, at least in my experience, but it seems more important to be healthy long term than to push and injure something even more. So I have more videos on these stretches, but here's what I would recommend. If you're feeling symptoms coming on during the race, then just stop somewhere, or take a moment, take your toe back, like so, and just let that front side lengthen and relax. It's just getting so repetitiously contracted. So put your toe back behind you. I hope you could see that. When I did the example from far away, I was just afraid you couldn't hear me if I stood back there and tried to yell. So you take your toe back. If you're interested, I can send you a video link to these particular stretches. You want to relax the front stabilizers because they've been contracting so much with walking or running, and they've probably been short and tight if you've done any amount of sitting in a car or at a desk or home or you know, in front of your computer, any of those things, you're shortening those stabilizers and trying to work them when you're repetitively exercising. So stopping periodically to lengthen the front side can help you get through and complete the race, the event, without making things worse and having a setback beyond that. And then the last pointer is so number 5, that was number 4, which is pay attention to your body. Lots of ways to do that. And then that tip about if you feel symptoms, then here are some ways you can manage that in real time when you're in the race. And then number 5, if you can see a specialist before that race comes up, or if you can't before, then after, because that would be the best thing, particularly if it's someone who understands running and someone who understands how the whole body fits together. Because if you have any lower extremity issues in your knees, your ankles, your hips, your shins, anywhere, there's a relationship with hips, back, and pelvis in your posture that is contributing to that too. So see if you can see someone. You might start to make some progress and find out things you can do, again, in real time in order to complete that. Or if you're still on the fence and questioning if it's a good idea, then they can help you with that rather than you trying to figure it out yourself or sacrificing your whole amazing sunny Colorado summer for this one day. So seeing a specialist, I was going to say something more about that. If you can't see someone beforehand, then seeing someone afterward is also great, because then you can get on the road sooner to recovery and getting beyond this. And it really doesn't take as long as you might think to get there most of the time, depending on how long you've had it going on, this problem going on, depending on how severe it is. But just knowing the right things to do for this particular problem, for your particular body, can really help you make improvements a lot faster than if we just left it alone. And it's my strong mission to help you I really want to help you solve problems while they're small before they become bigger problems, because that's what usually happens if we let things go and let them accumulate over time. So let's solve the problems while they're small problems before they become bigger problems in the future, and you'll save yourself a lot of time and money and energy and worry and time away from your whatever activities you love, time away from running, more boulder boulders you're not able to do. So let's not have that, and let's just stay on top of our healthy long-term ability to do all the things that we love. And that's what makes life amazing, and that's what makes you and uniquely you. So those are all things I really care about. And if you have any questions at all regarding Boulder race or any other races we're running, please feel free to comment below or shoot me an email, or you can find me at www.bouldercoloradophysicaltherapy.com, and I would be so happy to help with that. Have a great day, and happy Memorial Day, and happy Bolder Boulder running!